What if the business you've spent years building is worth almost nothing the moment you decide to sell it? That's the uncomfortable question Built to Sell opens with. The surprising part isn't that unprofitable businesses struggle to find buyers. It's that plenty of profitable ones do too. The book explores why that happens through the story of Alex Stapleton, whose agency looks successful from the outside, but hides the same weaknesses that quietly trap thousands of business owners. If that sounds familiar, Built to Sell digs into exactly why it happens. The link is in the description. As Ted begins challenging Alex, 4 questions emerge that determine whether a business is truly valuable. Is the company really just you wearing a business name? Does one client make up far too much of your revenue? Have you become the person who says yes to every request that comes along? And if you stopped selling tomorrow, would any of your income continue to arrive on its own? If you're interested in building a business that's valuable, instead of just busy, subscribe. This channel breaks down one business book like this every week. The first weakness is the one most owners never notice. If every important decision, every client relationship, and every problem depends on you personally, then the business isn't really an asset. It's your job with extra paperwork. Through Alex's story in the opening chapters, the book makes the case that a company tied to its owner's daily involvement becomes almost worthless to an outside buyer because it stops functioning the day that owner leaves. That's the first domino. Even if you solve it, another risk is waiting just beneath the surface. That next risk is client concentration. When nearly half your revenue comes from one customer, losing that account can change everything overnight. A buyer doesn't just see your biggest client, they see a single point of failure. In the chapter called The Test, Ted forces Alex to look at that risk before it becomes a disaster, completely reframing how revenue should be evaluated long before a sale is even considered. If you've ever caught yourself worrying about losing one major client, let me know in the comments. It's one of the most common growth traps small businesses fall into. But protecting that one important client often creates another problem. You start saying yes to everything. New services, custom projects, endless exceptions. On the surface, it feels like good customer service, but it quietly turns the business into something only you know how to run. The chapters on specialization argue the opposite approach. Becoming known for one specific thing, even if that means turning away work, makes the business easier to teach, easier to delegate, and ultimately far more valuable. It feels risky at first, but there's another piece to this that changes the economics entirely. Even a specialized business can struggle if every dollar depends on closing the next sale. One-off projects tell a buyer very little about what next year's revenue will look like, and uncertainty always lowers value. That's why the later chapters focus on restructuring around standardized offerings and recurring contracts. The book's central argument isn't simply to earn recurring revenue. It's to build predictable income that continues without constantly starting the sales process from zero. And that's really the heart of Built to Sell. An owner-dependent business, one oversized client, endless custom work, and no recurring revenue aren't isolated problems. They compound until the business owns you instead of the other way around. The book explores how each weakness feeds the next, and why fixing them creates something that can actually thrive without its founder at the center. If you'd like to dive into the full story and the strategy behind it, Built to Sell is linked in the description. Thanks for spending a few minutes exploring this one with me. If it changed how you think about building a business, not just starting one, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next breakdown, and subscribe if you enjoy thoughtful business books like this.